All right, San Diego Comic-Con was this past weekend, and we got a lot of movie trailers. Now, if you're following along on my Twitter page for Bernansky's vlog, as you can see here below on the screen, you will have seen all of these trailers that we're about to talk about, plus a few more, because I've been posting them there as they've dropped online. I throw them up on the Twitter. So if you haven't clicked the Twitter page yet, please go ahead and do that. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on here on the show, as well as things we may be covering on future episodes. And then also it'll help you join in the conversation in the comments section below, because you'll have a reference point for what we're speaking about. So if you haven't been following me on Twitter, you're going to want to go ahead and head over there to check out the Justice League new trailer dropped, which is leaps and bounds better than the first trailer that they dropped. The new movie Bright, that stars Will Smith, that's coming out on Netflix, they dropped that official trailer. Pacific Rim 2 and Thor Ragnarok all dropped. Now for television, we had The Defenders, Krypton, and The Inhumans all dropped trailers all weekend long. It was pretty insane. It was pretty great for us as movie fans. So go to my Twitter, check that out, and then you can join in on the conversation in the comments below. So if I'm forgetting anything, just go ahead and leave that comment and say, hey, Jeremy, you forgot about this trailer. It was super dope, and you need to check it out. So I can go back and check that out, and then other people who may have missed it can also check it out. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. Now, rumors abound that Ben Affleck won't be Batman anymore. He stated this weekend in San Diego Comic-Con that he is still going to be Batman. He's still excited about it and everything else. The question is, do we believe Ben Affleck? Yes, no. So here's what I mean by that. Clearly, he's Batman in the Justice League. I mean, that movie's almost done. It's going to be coming out in November. We can see that he's Batman. Beyond that, though, he said in meetings, in press meetings, that he was going to be writing, directing, and starring in the Batman movie. Now, he is no longer writing and directing this movie, as we found out last week on last week's episode. Director and writer Matt Reeves will be taking over and moving that forward. So it is possible that as time progresses, we may see Ben Affleck bow out of the Batman role, and we may just have him for Batman v Superman, and we may also just have him for Justice League. Which, if that's the case, that's fine. A lot of people have played James Bond, and you know, the Bond franchise really hasn't missed a step there because of a different actor. It may have been bad writing, but it wasn't the actor's fault necessarily. So switch up the Batmans, that's great. Not a big deal for me, but just find someone that can do the job and is interested and hungry to do the job so we get a good Batman. Westworld Season 2 dropped some footage at Comic-Con this past weekend, but did not announce the premiere date. They just said that it's expected to air later this year. So we're closing in on August. That's just a couple months to go. So hopefully maybe in the fall we'll see it drop, and that'll be pretty great because I loved Season 1. I thought it was a great show. I thought it was probably one of the best shows I watched. And it is a challenging show if you haven't watched it, because it deals with the idea of what humanity would be like if you could do whatever you want without consequence. And because of that, it gets into some very dark and very disturbing moments in the show. But the way in which they deliver those moments opens the door up for discussion on, is it right, is it wrong, what's the moral in the story, because of how they actually tell their story, which is pretty great. So to the Westworld writers, I give you all the kudos, I give you the high fives, and I can't wait for Season 2. Charlize Theron said she's interested in her next movie, Atomic Blonde, and Idris Elba should be the next 007 James Bond. Now, I'm excited to see both, assuming Idris Elba is actually Bond. I was hoping for Idris to actually be Lex Luthor in the new Batman and Superman movie, but they did not go that way. They went a very different way, much to my chagrin. So, but I would welcome him into the Bond franchise. He's a great actor. He's got swagger that fits the persona and role of James Bond. And for some characters, the character's race is built into the construct of who that character is. So, for example, Black Panther, the new movie that's coming out by Marvel, he is actually the king of an African country. So it would be odd to see someone like Jake Gyllenhaal playing that role, because the race of the character is built into the construct of who that character is. To me, Bond has always been an idea more than an actual person. So he personifies certain qualities more than he celebrates any one particular race. So if Idris Elba wants to play a British spy named James Bond 007, I'm with it, and I'm looking forward to it if it actually happens. Blumhouse and Todd McFarlane have joined forces, and they're going to be giving us another Spawn movie. And I think we're well overdue on this, because the last Spawn movie, the only Spawn movie, live action that we've had, was back in 1997. And as you can tell, it's now several years later, decades actually, and we're due for a new Spawn movie. So if you're not familiar with Blumhouse, they're a smaller studio that specializes in horror films. So they've actually created this quite remarkable business strategy, and they take these smaller horror movies that have a low budget and low cost to make, and then they make tons of money off of them. So that's great. And I'm excited to see what comes of this new Spawn film. I like the possibility of practical effects with Blumhouse specialties mixing with CGI that kind of leans more towards the specialties that the character Spawn would need. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope it works out. And as new footage and new info rolls out, we'll be discussing that here on the show. Okay, that's it for the news this week. There was an abundance of news that dropped at San Diego Comic-Con, and there was absolutely no way I was going to be able to get to everything. So if there was a news story that dropped or a trailer that I missed that you were particularly excited about, leave it in the comments below. Just say, hey, Jeremy, dude, how did you forget this? The answer is simple. There was so much information, it was impossible to cover everything. My Twitter feed was literally on fire the whole weekend because of everything that was going on at San Diego Comic-Con. So if you have something particular that you were like, yes, throw it in the comments below. Stay excited. Let's keep the conversation going.